Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post of Parshas Devarim is going to discuss self-compassion. At the beginning of the Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu has his final opportunity to give guidance and instruction to the Bnei Yisrael before they enter into Eretz Yisrael. And it's interesting that at this point, Moshe chooses to give them words of rebuke. But the Mefarshim explain that he doesn't directly chastise them, but rather he indirectly alludes to different sins that the Bnei Yisrael committed whilst they were in the Midbar. And the Ramban explains that Moshe wasn't trying to be negative or critical at this point, but rather to give a message of hope and encouragement that despite the fact that the Bnei Yisrael committed sins in the Midbar, Hashem showed compassion towards them. And therefore, the Ramban says, no person in the Bnei Yisrael should disqualify themselves, should think that because they are imperfect and because they committed sins, they are no longer worthy of entering into the land of Israel. But rather, because Hashem showed compassion towards them, we ourselves, the Bnei Yisrael, should show compassion towards ourselves, should have self-compassion, to understand that we are still worthy, we still have self-value, and we are still worthy of entering into Eretz Yisrael. And this is a vital message, this message of self-compassion, because this inner critical voice that we are not worthy can be so debilitating. It can stop a person from achieving things in life, from being successful, or believing that they are worth something and they are entitled to things in life. And how does one avoid this negative, this self-critical voice? So I would like to focus on two main factors of self-compassion, because self-compassion is being kind to oneself, and the research says that self-compassion is correlated with psychological well-being. On a basic level, being kind to oneself could mean that whatever you would do towards another person, or a family, or a friend, whatever you would do towards them to show compassion, you should do towards yourself. So this means that you would give praise to yourself. You would treat yourself. If you do something good, make sure that you elevate that and that you recognize it and you give praise to yourself, and that you treat yourself with things that you like, and that you have gratitude for things in your life. And if necessary, forgive yourself. Don't be so harsh and critical on yourself. Making mistakes is part of human nature. It's what everyone does, and you should be willing to forgive yourself for this. And secondly, to reduce the power and the intensity of this self-critical voice, we need to first of all identify the critical voice, this inner critical voice, understand its function and its purpose until now, but to replace it with a more positive way of thinking. And one way of doing this is through cognitive behavior therapy, to be able to replace negative thoughts, but also through mindfulness, to be able to recognize thoughts without it having an influence on us, to allow the negative thoughts to pass by without it being magnified and having this intense negative influence on ourselves. And these are two vital ways to show compassion, to increase self-compassion. Have a great Shabbos.